What's up, everybody? Big weekend for racing coming up for all of us, no matter what you're into, what style of racing you like. We got road racing, we have plate track racing, we have we have Supercross, we have a lot of stuff that people really, really like, and hopefully you enjoyed the episodes I did through the week to cover everything individually, except for I believe Snowcross and another one were combined into one just because there wasn't a lot. And American Flat Track, obviously, went with Moto America stuff just because they both ran Daytona as their season openers. But hopefully you enjoyed all of them. It saves everyone a lot of time, keeps you from having to listen to this for 20 some minutes at a time. So I'm going to try to get it, you know, do more of them, I guess is the way to put it. And if you haven't checked any of them out, why haven't you? And regardless of that, share them out for me, retweet it, share it on Facebook, wherever, just because, people, just because all of that helps word of mouth. And I don't have to give Facebook or any of them any money for ad services. So that'd be greatly appreciated. But on to the racing. Moto America, they're off until April 21st through the 23rd at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, obviously in Atlanta. American Flat Track off until Saturday, March 25th. The Yamaha Sonoya Short Track and Sonoya Raceway. NHRA off until March 24th through the 26th for the NHRA Arizona Nationals at the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. Formula E off until March 25th for the inaugural Julius Baer Sao Paulo E-Prix. So that'll be 4 straight races. They're doing in new locations, which is great for them and growing the sport and racing altogether. ARCA Menards is off until April 22nd for the General Tire 200 at Talladega. The ARCA E Series is off until March 25th for the Pensacola 200 at Five Flag Speedway. ARCA West is off until April 1st at the West Coast Stock Car Motorsports Hall of Fame 150, doing that at the Irwindale Speedway. IndyCar's off till April 2nd for the PPG 375 at the Texas Motor Speedway. Snowcross is off until March 23rd and 24th, when they'll be racing the Cannonsburg Snowcross National, the Cannonsburg Ski Area, Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's a lot of stuff coming up and a lot of stuff that isn't happening, but now you know. And the racing this weekend, I'm excited about because there are some things that I really like. We got Supercross Saturday night in Detroit, Michigan, Ford Field, gate drop 7 p.m. on Peacock. Re-airs Monday, 1 a.m. on CNBC, which I know no one's going to watch because who watches CNBC, let alone at 1 a.m. But that's the cards they were dealt. And it should be a really good one. I like the track. I have not posted it yet, but I will by the time you hear this. They should be up. Again, I could share all 5 to Facebook. Only 4 to Racing Rosinski on Twitter, but I will have them up for you. And there's some interesting things going in this one. Big one is seeing if Eli Tomac can bounce back after his finish at Indy. He just had a bad start. Nothing, catastrophic happened. He's got a bad start, and he only got up to 7th, which means he lost a point lead to Cooper Webb, only by a point, but it's still a point. It's the first time he hasn't been, number 1 in the points in a very long, well over a year. Memory serves me right. So I want to see how he could bounce back from that because, again, when you're used to running, getting podiums and winning and all that, you finish 7th and you lose the points lead after having it for so long, that kind of is a thing. So I want to see how he bounces back from that. Nate Thrasher did a great job, in Indy. So bounce back after Daytona. So I think just like Barsha and all of them, I think it could be a really good weekend for him. We have to see what happens, see if Chase Sexton can have a race without any stupid happening. There's a lot of BS that happens, and he always just seems to have something happen every race, whether it's a lapper getting in his way and causing him going down, overdoing something and going down, pegs caught in a rut. Last weekend, like to see if he can make it through a clear races, good, and see what Hunter Lawrence can, do, and if he can keep doing it before they go into the 250 East break and the West starts again next weekend. That's the big one because he did extend his lead very well in Indy, and I don't see him slowing down, but I want to see if anyone, the Max Anses and Nate Thrash, all those people, anyone can at least be close to him to keep him from pulling away so far. And they have shown the ability to be there with him, but when they have bad days, he has really good days. And as we all know, in any form of racing, that's not good. So really excited for that. Again, gate drop 7 p.m. on Peacock, Supercross in Detroit at Ford Field. If you have Peacock, it'll be there. watch it. If you don't want to watch it that night, you can watch it on Sunday or any other day on demand. But I'm telling you to watch it because Daytona was great. If you haven't watched that, I don't know why I've told you to do it enough times. And there's great racing in Indy. At least, the 450 main was fantastic. So make sure to watch that. Really good stuff. Formula One, STC, Saudi Arabia Grand Prix in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Sunday, 1 p.m. on ESPN. And I'm quite all right with that. The first Grand Prix there was held in 2021. It's a new track, 50 laps, 6.174 kilometers in length, or 3.84 miles for us here in America. Race distance is 308.45 kilometers, or 191.66 miles. And the fastest lap record goes to Lewis Hamilton at 1 minute, 30.734 seconds in 2021 when the track was opened. Practice is done. Max Verstappen was fastest. His teammate, Checo Perez, was right up there behind him. So 1-2 for the Red Bulls. And then Fernando Alonso again there in the Aston Martin third. So there's some, stuff that we expected to see. It doesn't surprise me. Last year, Max Verstappen won. Charles Leclerc was second and only half a second back, which is one of the very few times anyone could even see him when he was done. And Carlos Sainz finished third at -8 seconds. And again, they had a lot of problems in the first race of the season last year. A lot of mechanical issues for a bunch of people. We got to see what they do. I know both Ferraris switched power units going into this after the failure in the first race. So we have to see how that works out, but it's so early, it's not going to cost them anything, penalties wise yet. So we got to see about that. But George Russell was 5th and Lewis Hamilton 10th for the Mercedes. Esteban Ocon finished 6th for Alpine. Lando Norris finished 7th for McLaren. Pierre Gasly was 8th for AlphaTauri. Kevin Magnussen 9th for Haas. And the Williams were at 14th and 18th. One of them did not finish. And there's a lot to see this week. I want to, again, see just, where Max is compared to last, year. Because look how he started off in Bahrain. He was in a league of his own. So that's, I want to see, just because, again, Ferrari was at least close to him. And a lot of things can happen in these things, but they weren't very close to him. Look at the race in Japan. Suzuka, I'm pretty sure he's pulling away a second a lap in torrential downpours. Like, he's just in another world. So I want to see what he could do. See, after all the things that Toto Wolff has said about his team there at Mercedes, and they have to make much more drastic changes because of how they ran. I want to see if they figured anything out, as they had the week off in between Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, just because he made such a deal about it. So was Lewis Hamilton. See what they could do and how they improved from last weekend, or and even last year. See how they keep doing with that. See what the McLarens have got, because they looked absolutely terrible in Bahrain. And I always said Ricardo wasn't the problem. The cars are even worse this year. So got to see how that works. See what Haas looks like, just because they looked real bad last weekend. If Williams can get, another good run where they got one in the points and one right behind them just out of the points, which is fantastic, because if you watched F1 last year, that's all I have to say about that. It was nothing spectacular for the Williams. So see if they could do that again, just because it's good for the sport to see them, everyone at least challenging for a top 10 is, good for the sport when there are more teams that can do that. Not everyone's going to challenge for wins. Everyone knows that. We all watch enough racing. But at least compete for top 10s and not just be in the back by, last place. See if they could do that, because that was really good to see them in Bahrain do that. And I want to see what Aston Martin can do again. Fernando Alonso ran great, got the podium in his first run with Aston Martin. Great, person to take over Sebastian Vettel's right after he retired. I said that enough damn times. But see how, he could do, in round 2 with Aston Martin, see what the cars have. See, because again, they're still figuring things out during the off weeks. Just see what happened there. See how his teammate Lance Stroll does with that whole wrist thing. I saw him go way off track during practice for F1, the first one. See if anything got there. But I really, again, it's just, I'm still learning. You guys are probably still learning if you're watching it. I just want to see what's going to happen. See if anyone picked up on anything. See if people got slower. See if it was just a bad week. A couple of weeks, testing wise, and then the race in Bahrain for McLaren, or if they're just really off. There's a lot of things to figure out, and I look forward to it again. Sunday, 1 p.m. on ESPN, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, under the lights, beautiful racetrack facility, and you don't have to watch 7 million commercials like you do a NASCAR race or anything else. So make sure to keep an eye out for that one, or at least go on there and set the damn DVR so you can watch it later, because it's going to be killer. And then we get to Atlanta for NASCAR. And I thought the racing there in the spring was far superior to the racing in July last year. So hopefully they figured that out. But starting off the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Freight 208, Saturday, 2 p.m. on FS1, MRN, and Sirius XM. Excuse me. Entries in there. John Hunter Nemechek is going to run in the race in the 17 for David Gilliland. Last year, Corey Heim won the race and a good finish there. Left teammate John Hunter out to dry, and that one just went out for his own, which doesn't surprise me. That's kind of what they do. Yeah, whole Toyota thing. But Ben Rhodes was second, Ty Majeski third, and look how Ty ended the season. It wasn't just plate track thing. He's really good and fantastic, but there isn't much to analyze. That's the problem going into this because of the results. And it being a plate track, it was the first time there last year. They still went back, but it's a plate track, and all it takes is hell. We saw everywhere from Bubba at the Daytona 500 up front, Caduce into a wall, and that changed everything. So I don't analyze the results for plate races as much as I could, because I don't see the point, because it just takes one slip. And last year there was a lot of slips, especially the people in the lead, blown tires, all kinds of things, and just dumb things happening in general. So we saw a lot of wrecks last year. So I hope it's not that, but I do want to see, which I'm going to discuss further, later, but the commitment line being moved to the entrance to turn 3 and the mayhem that's quite possibly going to cause, because I know the speeds they're at to try to, get down where it normally would be is something, and that is dangerous and hard to do and cause all kinds of chaos. But I do have one big thought about that. I'll get to it at the end, so you got to stick around for another 4 or 5 minutes to hear it. I'm pretty sure you guys probably had the thought too, but I am worried and intrigued about that, and I'll tell you why when we get to the end of it. We also have the NASCAR Xfinity Series Raptor 250, Saturday, 5 p.m. on FS1, PRN, and Sirius XM. Doubleheader day. I have no problem with that. Get everything done nice and easy, and then less racing to watch on Sunday, because F1 Cup Series are already going to fill up my plate. But entry list, we get to see Ryan Truex in the 19 again for Gibbs after a good run last weekend. Second, he's super talented. He's really, really talented. He just doesn't get, full-time commitment and good equipment, which is, what kills a lot of people. Just saying. He's in there. I look forward to see what he can do, even if, again, see how he runs regardless of how he finishes, because there's people. Look at Corey LaJoy in the summer last year. Was there, leading, kaboom, into the wall, done. And he finished back in the 20s. So anything can happen there, but really excited to see what could happen there. Sage Karam's in the 45 for Cesar Baccarella. Chad Chastain's in the race in the 91 from Mario Gosselin. So that's really cool to see. Last year, Ty Gibbs won this race. Austin Hill was second. The Dinger was third. Now those two are, 2 of those 3 are gone. And I think that Austin Hill might be the best plate racer in the Xfinity Series. There's teams that run really well together. There's people, but there's just something about him in the air. He fully understands it, and he's getting, better at it. So I expect big things for him this year. He just, again, he gets it. But I really just want to see if the racing's better than it was, I believe, last July for the second race, because that absolutely, it sucked. Completely, utterly, unequivocally terrible. No one can change my mind on that. It wasn't good. So hopefully it's better. And again, see what Ryan Truex can do, just because I like seeing him, in good equipment. He's not always in good equipment. He's very rarely in really good equipment. And whenever he's in it, he can produce, and he has produced. And, I'd rather see him get a chance at something that isn't a plate track, because he could be running good and get taken out by someone else's stupidity. Snap of the finger and he's gone. But I'm really excited to see what he can do. I think it's going to be a great race again Saturday, 5 p.m. on FS1, PRN, and Sirius XM. Should be a good one, a good doubleheader day. Who doesn't like seeing 2 races in one day? Because then you get to do it again on Sunday, which is, fantastic. Which gets us to, which, by the way, the F1 race should conveniently, hopefully, be over just in time for the NASCAR race to start. I think it worked out good. But NASCAR Cup Series and Better Health 400 Sunday, 3 p.m. on Fox, PRN, and Sirius XM. This weekend, we get to see J.J. Yeley in the 15 for Rick Ware Racing. Todd's back in his normal ride in the 38, even though I still think it was funny that they gave Zane the ride last weekend, and Todd finished one spot behind him in much lower equipment. No offense to Rick Ware, but front row where they've been running compared to that is night and day. So that made me feel good to see that personally. But spring, Last year, William Byron won, Ross Chastain second. My dude Kurt Busch, missed seeing him, but he finished third. The summer race, Chase Elliott won. Ross Chastain was second. Austin Cindric was third. And again, Corey LaJoie was right there until turn 1 and 2. So he could be up there again. The cars have gotten better, and he's a super talented driver. As long as they keep getting things better, sooner or later, I think he just has to get one. Whether it's a steal one because of rain or out of plate tracks, people say he just stole it. He's talented, and the cars have been better this year. So I want to see what that could do, but I just want to see the racing be better than it was last summer because that absolutely sucked. That was bad. That was hard to watch. And I didn't like it, but I want to see if the Chevy's dominance will continue because to this point, they're just on fire all over the place, have been. It's a plate track, so I expect, the Toyotas will work good together. The Fords will work good together. And people will work with whoever the hell they have to. I just want to see, if they'll keep dominating and, who will come out on top. Again, I could say this and then all the big names you think about could get wrecked out one time and then you don't know what the hell's going on. But I just honestly want it to be better than it was last summer. And I want to see how the Hendrick guys and Justin Haley's team bounce back after the big penalties, which moved people like Alex Bowman was leading the points all the way back to the 20s. Everyone's back there now, and Justin Haley's at negative. So see what they do in the first, race since all those penalties were dropped for modifying, a single source part. But big penalties. Each crew chief was fined $100,000, suspended for 4 races. Teams were penalized. They got 100 driver points and owner points, as well as 10 playoff points. Teams involved were all 4 Hendricks. So we got 5 of Kyle Larson, the 9 of Chase Elliott, the 24 of William Byron, the 48 of Alex Bowman, and the colleague number 31 of Justin Haley. Crew chiefs were obviously Cliff Daniels, Alan Gustafson, Rudy Fugle, Blake Harris, and then Trent Owens for Justin Haley's colleague car. And the 9 did not lose the 100 drivers points, just to clarify that, as Chase currently isn't driving. And Josh Berry is just the fill-in, and they're not getting any, driver points out of him because he's racing for the Xfinity Championship. So make sure that one gets clarified. And, on the penalties, if it was something that the team did and the drivers didn't know, that's a problem with things like this. Like, did the drivers know? If the drivers didn't know, I think it's grody to take 100 points away from them, something they didn't have anything to do with. They're like doing races, meeting and sim racing and all this stuff and all the other stuff they have to do. And if they didn't know to take 100 driver points away from them for something they had nothing to do with or no idea about, that could be grody and dirty in my eyes. Again, I'm sure we'll never know. But that one, they didn't know, and I lost 100 driver points for something I had nothing to do with. For parts it had nothing to do with the races before, I'd be pissed. But if they did know, then they deserve it. And no matter what, if the team got it, drivers were going to get it too. I just don't like it when things like that, happen just because if they didn't, that's just grody as hell. But only time will tell. I think they'll bounce back. I think they'll be okay. And I want to see what Josh Berry does because everyone was all over him after his first run, that 9 car, 10 minutes warning. Look how good he ran in Phoenix. The kid's talented. I could say that because he's still a few years younger than me. But excited to see Saudi Arabia for F1, how it works. Excited to see if Atlanta's any better than it was in the summer because it sucked. And no matter what, set the damn DVR to watch stuff. Check out Peacock. Get the Supercross. Daytona was great. Last week's 450 main event was fantastic. Check them out if you haven't. Check out all the bonus episodes and share them. And I appreciate all. So thank you for everyone that does that. Don't forget YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify for podcasters, all of that. You can even give me support through there. And I appreciate you all. Until some more bonus episodes come out, enjoy your weekend of racing. Peace. Bye. I'm out.